Let's go. Look, I got one big for you today: influence versus manipulation. Look, it's going to be a little edgy here, but I'm going to stretch your perspective, your insight, and imagination. I'm going to give you my piece of the pie. It's something about these two words that kind of get me in a place of debate, but I also understand what both of them mean. And I want to give you my piece of the pie, my perspective, my insight, my imagination by unloading, unpacking, unlocking, and unveiling every attribute and ability that you possess for success. This is 28 Power Keys to Success, and we're going to talk about some influence. So first of all, let's kick things off with talking about influence and the definition of influence. We always want to start off with some definitions. Influence, defined from the Merriam-Webster dictionary, it says the power or capacity to cause an impact, an effect in indirect or intangible ways without force. Okay, so we kicked it off. We understand that. So we're talking about power and capacity. Power or capacity. So you have this power. That means it's an ability. A lot of times people talk about force, but it's an ability. Capacity is also measurement of your ability. So we talk about power. Influence is power. We see it all over the world, but influence is power. And one of the things I like to talk about when I discuss influence is how I break this word down. Influence is broke down into three parts. It's in, flu, and ins. And what I like to do is kind of just communicate what those different parts are. But before I do that, let's look at this definition a little bit. It says the power, meaning the ability, meaning something that you can apply to yourself, you can utilize, you can operate in, to cause an effect. The power, the ability to cause an effect. I always talk about responsibility in this same stint because responsibility, a lot of people coin it as your ability to respond. But what I like to say is it's your ability to make the world respond to you, right? To your ability to really make an impact and have the world respond to you. So this cause an effect in indirect or intangible ways. Intangible. Tangible means, something that you can touch and feel. Intangible means something you can't touch or feel. So you think about this in an intangible way. Something that's not physical, not forceful. It's not by force that influence happen. And I want to let you know right now, right off the bat, that you're influencing somebody every single day. And it's an indirect influence, right? So people are taking information from you, right? Information is coming from you, whether it's in your words, your actions, your deeds, your thoughts, your social media, whatever, right? There's a lot of information that's floating around and people are taking that and they're making decisions about their lives and where they want to go based on that. So one of the real things about influence is that, you don't necessarily have control over. You really don't have control over influence. And that's why, a lot of people put disclaimers and things like that in the work that they do because they don't have control over the results of their influence. And, ideally, we have an end goal. We have a vision of how we want our lives to impact people. We have a vision of how we want our information to impact people. And that right there is where we really are channeling our influence, right? So let's talk about influence and the breakdown of it. It's broken down into three parts. We'll talk about in first. We're talking about inside. So there's no way to really influence someone unless you can get inside, right? You got to get past this whole front end, right? You got to get past the eye canal, you got to get past the ear canal, you got to get past all of that. You got to get in the mind and in the heart. So until somebody open up to you, you really can't influence them. Let's be honest. Like, you can't influence somebody if they're not open up to you. So you have to be able to get in. There's got to be a way for you to penetrate. In most cases, when we're talking about influence, first thing, we got to have something in common. If you look at great orators and speakers, they naturally make some kind of personal connection with the individuals in the crowd first before they can present their information to help change or influence individuals in a direction that can build them up and take them to that vision in that space that's being communicated in that time. And so what we talk about when we get that entry is the flu. And yes, it's very similar to what is spelled out. It's the flu. It's normally talking about some kind of influence or so. So what we talk about when we talk about the flu is influenza, right? Influenza is a respiratory infection. What happens is it deals with the oxygen in your lungs. It deals with the air and all that. So what do we do with oxygen? How do we utilize oxygen or our breathing and things like that? Our breathing help us formulate words. Our diaphragm, our esophagus, our mouth, we're communicating through the breath that we're speaking. So we're able to speak because of those breaths. So the way we actually can influence is if we can penetrate individual situations, people receive us, right? That's the penetration. They have to receive it. Once they receive us and open up to us, we're able to provide them words, right? Words are capsules, man. They're able to form visions. They're able to form direction and guidance and things like that. So when somebody's open to you, what you're communicating to them can influence them. Should they receive those words? The issue is that they already have particular words on the inside of them. There's words already on the inside of them, and they're conducting their lives based on those words that they've acquired over the experiences of their lives and the exchanges that they have in life and education and all the insight and all the emotions they have created words for them, right? So now that they have allowed you in, it's up to you to be able to provide them words for them to swap out, right? For them to exchange those words. Some of them may be negative words, and you want to exchange those negative words for positive words so they can see the positive impact in their lives, so they can see the vision that you have that you're presenting to them, right? So they have to receive that. And you have no control over whether or not they receive it. You just have to really govern yourself in a manner where it's very appropriate and people are receptive of it. And so what happens is they let you in. That's the top part of influence. They allow you in, and then when you're in there, you start to assess where can I build? Where can I provide a great example to help them see their dreams, their goals, and aspirations? Because ideally, you have to be in agreement, and they have to be in agreement with you. When influence is at play, there's got to be an agreement. They have to want to switch those words. They have to want the words that you're carrying. They have to want the words that you're providing. They got to want that vision that you're projecting to them. They got to want that. They got to want to substitute the mission that they're already on for the mission that you're actually casting to them, right? And so when they do that, there's only one thing that takes place after that, and it really depends on them. Like after you have given the vision and all that, everything else is the decision that they own, and that's the EINC, that's the INS. It's normally associated with the continuation of, right? If individuals decide to continue in the information that you have, look, you have no real control in either one of these parts of the process of influence. The person that is being influenced does. And that's the real value to influence, is that it's not necessarily a forceful thing. It's an indirect impact. But the information that we're providing is so dynamic and so constructive that it's going to lead them to a positive outcome. That's influence. And sometimes, based on what kind of environment you're in, some people like accept negative influences, right? But they know where they're going. That's really the ultimate thing. Both parties know the vision. Both parties know the end goal, right? The desired outcome, the results of what we're exchanging right here. And so if they decide to continue in that, then we have the full-on influence. That's a real detailed thought process concerning influence. First, you got to be in there. Like, you got to be able to get interest. You got to find interest points. Once you get in, and once they allow you in, because you have no control over that, they still have control over whether or not you allow them in. They get in there, then you can show them the vision. They accept that vision, then they can determine whether or not they want to continue in it. And if they continue in it, you have effectively influenced somebody for the better. Okay. Well, this is the problem. This is the problem. Manipulation and influence are like real. It's a real fine line. It's a real fine line between manipulation and influence. So let's take a look at manipulation. Manipulation is to control or play upon by artful, unfair, or insidious means, especially to one's own advantage. Man, that alone can kind of tell you how this all works, because naturally the part where, you know, I come in, right, and I'm artful. It's a skill thing, right? It's a skill. People have this crafted skill, and you can see it so many things. You can see it in so many things, right? Even motivational speakers and pastors and politicians, and they're so skilled with their words that people open up to them, right? And when they open up to them, individuals may hit you with some unfair and insidious things, right? And so you find yourself in a position and you're like, man, oh, this is what they're projecting. And what they're projecting, you think you're making an exchange with this vision, when in turn, they're actually doing this for their own advantage. They're actually doing this for their own advantage. And I'm not saying everybody's doing this. I'm telling you that that's the whole concept behind manipulation, and the fine line between manipulation and influence. Influence, and I'm telling you, influence, we have a vision and we have agreed on this vision, and both of us know the destination. Manipulation is that, hey, we agreed on a vision, but we both going to different destinations, right? I have my own agenda behind why I'm telling you what I'm telling you. You come in agreement, in alignment where I state we're going and where you're going, and then it's to my own advantage. It's to my own advantage. And whether you get there or not, or whatever the case, it doesn't matter. I use you, right? I was artful. I was unfair. I was insidious. I was definitely using you to get to where I wanted to go. And that's where you see manipulation. That's where you see manipulation. I'm using you to get to where I want to go. Don't you manipulate your car. You use your car to get to where you want to go, right? You're not influencing your car. Your car has no control over where it's going. And that's exactly what happens when individuals are being manipulated, because they think they have control, but they have no control over where they're going, right? This is a fun thing I use when I teach manipulation, okay? Manipulation. Man I pull on, or man I pull at, I own. Manipulation. And this is just the word manipulation. But this is something that, like, when I looked at the word, I was like, man, I said, it's crazy that even breaks down like this. Right? The man I pull on or pull at, I own, right? The man I'm forcing to do things, like the man I'm being unfair with, right? The man I'm manipulating, the man that I'm being insidious with for my own advantage, I own that individual. I'm using that individual as a resource to get to my dreams, my goals, and my aspirations. When I influence, I'm helping them get to their dreams, their goals, and aspirations, because it's an agreed vision, agreed outcome. And that's the value in this altogether. That's the value in this altogether. So when we talk about influence, and we're influencing people on a day-to-day, if they've allowed us into their lives, there's influence that's taking place. But based on how I conduct myself, influence and manipulation is it's active. It's acted upon. It's active. It's activated, right? Based on me. It's based on me. So you get to choose whether or not you're going to manipulate somebody or whether or not you're going to influence somebody. I know this is probably going to be very controversial, because there's a lot of individuals who's living off of the 48 laws of power, right? A lot of people are living off the 48 laws of power. But if you read into some of those things, and I might have to dive in and do a segment like this on those. But if you dive into it, there's a lot of manipulation involved in that. There's a lot of manipulation involved in that. Yes, it's talking about some of the psychology behind how people think and how people respond to the things and activities. But man, if we're not using that to actually help people get to their dreams and goals and aspirations, and only using it for our own advantage, that's manipulation. I mean, see it however you want to see it, but that's exactly what it is. And this video explains that. Like, this video explains that. So if you're looking to truly influence somebody and make an impact in people's lives, you have to really find a way to connect with them, and they have to allow you in, right? And once they allow you in, you have to really facilitate in a way where the vision, and they want that vision, and you all are in alignment on that vision, and you show that vision to them, and they connect to that vision, and then you have to step away, right? You can continue to support them, but you have to step away, and they have to continue in that vision. That's influence. That's influence, and you both know where you're going. And so naturally, people who influence, they normally have a coach, and the coaches, they sit down with them, they talk to them, they outline the vision, the game plan, the strategy, the strategic plan, whatever it is, they outline it, and then the coach helped them get there. That's a real level. Those are real levels of influence. Influence show individuals exactly where they're going, and then they work to get there. They continue in these ways. They continue with these attributes functioning to get to this goal, this dream, this aspiration that has been determined beforehand. Okay. And so, like, don't get caught up in this manipulation thing, y'all. Like don't get caught up trying to control people and plan upon people's lives by being artful. Like, I know a lot of people do it, but like this skill is not meant for us to operate in and tear people down. Like, there are going to be some things that you do to your own advantage, but you can influence people to do that. You don't have to manipulate to do that. The thing is, like, it's up to you. It's up to you. But I put it out there so you don't have an excuse. And when this information shows up and when you understand how to utilize this, you can adequately flip the switch on influence, and it can take you to your dreams, your goals, and aspirations, and you can see them face to face. This is your power. This is the capacity that you already have. You possess this, and you can affect people's lives indirectly in intangible ways. You don't have to force them. You can communicate very effectively with your words. You can equip yourself with the proper information, and you can help people get to their dreams, their goals, and aspirations, just like this book has been doing all around the world. 28 Power Keys to Success. Look, I want you to get your copy of this book. The link is in the description below, and I'll see y'all at the top.